just about talking less and about showing and proving. A really interesting collaboration has just been announced that's been all over my side of social media regarding Corteiz and Nike. And this just got announced randomly, which is quite a cool way to do it. I think some kid initially shared it on TikTok. I think I've got a video of it here. Actually on via Vogue Business, somebody on TikTok, refreshes actually, a kid on TikTok actually was walking around central London and saw the Corteiz logo being shone outside of Nike Town London, an iconic spot here in London, and took a video of it and was bare surprised and shared it. And obviously there's a picture of Stormzy wearing some of the Corteiz t-shirt. And everyone went a bit crazy, and then the actual owner of the brand ended up posting it later. So I thought that was quite nice, like fans kind of cotton onto it first and spreading the love and tagging and whatnot, and then soon after that the actual founder and owner of the company himself, you know, put out his sort of official pictures and statements, and that was how it was announced. But this is the video courtesy of Vogue Business, which shows the kid talking about it here.
I was in central London and I saw this.
They don't put Corteiz on the Nike store, fam. Well, these lot are moving like Batman in Gotham City. Lethal lightings, take it easy, man.
Pretty cool, as you can see there, pretty cool. So there's a collaboration happening with Corteiz or Corteiz, however you pronounce it. Cult London-based streetwear brand Corteiz is launching its first major collaboration with Nike. As you can see, there's a logo shone outside of the Nike Town store here in London. There's some other extra pictures here showing oh no, there's a video here actually showing the little promotion for the collaboration that they have going on, which is pretty sick. It features, I think, the instrumental, the Roll Deep track When I'm Here, if I'm pretty sure, playing here in the background, which is pretty cool. I'll play it for you now. With a time-lapse video or picture on the junction outside of flipping Nike Town London that everyone should be familiar with. Also, loads of chases and fights and pranks and challenges have taken place at that fucking junction. Queues, many different things over the years.
In the game, it was bait, we was gonna be here. Roll deep is a name and we're up for awards all year.
So far we've got no details actually on what's actually going to come from this collaboration, but considering what these guys do and what they're about, you would imagine it would probably be a lot of what do you call it? It'll be a lot of tracksuits, that sort of vibe. I'm hoping there's not a lot of Americana type drip involved there. I'm not really a fan when they do that sort of stuff. Maybe I'm talking about, you know, varsity jackets and shit. I feel that stuff should be left to, you know, those guys over there. But regardless, the other tracksuits and pieces they put out I think are pretty cool. I like some of the t-shirts they do also. Obviously the most interesting part about them is definitely the drops and how they release things in a very you know, stealthy type of way. But I do think there is some real avenue and real space to do something really interesting with this Nike collaboration, because I think it'll be one of the first times that you could do a collaboration like this with Nike and it kind of be legit, especially when it comes to tracksuits and whatnot. Because I think Drake has his thing that he's got going on with what's it called, Nocta, right? With that's happening over there in Toronto and Canada and places. But I feel like that's also a little bit of a, it's a bit of a thing that they kind of maybe copied from us here in London, from tracksuit culture, or maybe in Europe mostly. And I feel like we actually do it the best, even though Nocta's quite good, and obviously they've got their little drill scene out there, or they've got a substantial drill scene out there that's doing big numbers, clearly. But I feel like I would actually like to see our vision of a tracksuit be presented on the biggest and best platform ever when it comes to Nike. And when you think about the history of tracksuits, especially, you know, with regards to Nike from back in the day, there was a period in time, especially in the early times of grime, where there was a level of tracksuit that was higher than the ones you'd get at JD. I don't know if they have them now, it's the same thing. Maybe that Nike tech suits are kind of similar and they kind of provide that same sort of vibe now going forward. But there was a time back in the day where particular outfits that you had purchased, or tracksuits that you'd purchased from Nike would be of a certain level depending on where you bought them. And sometimes guys would go out and buy a tracksuit from, you know, Foot Locker, for instance, would have the higher level ones, and those are usually ones that were branded from like TN, like Tuned Air, and some other bits and bobs, or they'd have specific ones that they'd make Nike for Foot Locker, so they'd be Foot Locker exclusives, and their tracksuits would be like cash money. Back in the day, be like, I don't know, £150 or something, right? And imagine a regular tracksuit that you'd get from like Littlewood's catalog or from JD or from, I forgot the other place as well, where you'd get tracksuits would be like, I don't know, under 100 quid. Just suddenly see a tracksuit or just a jacket alone was like 120, you'd be like, rah, you'd be mad. And then I remember there was some occasions where Nike would do a tracksuit, a full tracksuit, and a matching hat that came with the whole thing that you could wear all together, that was always go for bucks. And that's one that I remember all the drug dealers and whatnot, all the scammers back in the day were copying, because that's the only people that you'd see wearing this stuff in IRL. And then I think it only towards the end of the kind of grime renaissance, or, you know, grime's kind of real big buzz, I think that's when suddenly places like Hackney Market back in the day on that dog track where the church used to be, and now where I think they've kind of demolished it all and it's kind of turned into Hackney Wick, isn't it? But there's an area of Hackney, if you know what I'm talking about, where the Olympic Park is, where there used to be a market there in Dalston. I remember towards the end of the grime times, maybe when I was sixth form or something, suddenly then fakes started to come in, and that's when a lot of the guys in my ends who could not afford anything, who were mad broke and whatnot, could suddenly start buying some stuff and feeling like they kind of involved. Because before that, you only had straight JD, straight Nike. Nowadays, these kids got Taobao and stuff and AliExpress, where you can probably buy tech suits and still feel involved. You still want to buy the real one eventually, but, you know, it's hard to get drippy and hard to get, you know, to kind of flex on these flipping hoes out here at that age when you didn't really have any money, because the only places to buy actual tracksuits were the actual shops themselves. I remember back in the day, Sports Direct, what was it called before? Was it JJB's or something? I forgot the name of it, what it was called beforehand, but they used to sometimes have the odd tracksuit here and there, but it wasn't the great one. It was just like a basic one. You'd want the ones with like different panels or like 3M and whatnot, 3M piping on the side. You want all these different things going for it when it comes to that. But I'm hoping with this Corteiz collaboration going forward, what they do is that they have maybe another renaissance and kind of try and remember the times and restore the feeling when it comes to retail. Because I do remember a lot of that experience was trying to go out and find these places, like going to a Nike Town outlet. I don't know, what was that place called? I forgot, somewhere near Central Line. There was an outlet you could go to there to go buy some certain bits and bobs that you could find off rack, off sale pieces, or stuff that got discontinued, or things that were like B grades or whatnot, or had little errors from the factory you could probably buy and pick up. Random ACG stuff and Nike sportswear stuff, Nike Blue Label back in the day. All those things were absolutely sick and were really important back then. So I could clearly see something like that going forward if they wanted to restore the feeling that way, having activations around that, maybe doing a pop-up store inside of a pop-up store, maybe having little Nike Town things all over the place jotted around and shit. That would be pretty sick. Shoe wise, that would be the curious one. They would, I don't know, thinking back on it, there was a time when Air Max 95s were like the drug dealer shoe of choice. So were 97s. For a bit there was a 90s type as well, but it was mostly Air Maxes. I remember those were being the ones that were the drug dealer chic, because they were always super expensive, especially if you think of the TNs, the TLs. They were like 110, 120 upwards. I remember the TNs and TLs were the first Nike shoe that I remember that was like 140, 150 from Littlewood's catalogs and shit. Or you could only buy them in particular stores, maybe go to Meteor Sports or something. So maybe they'll go for that one. But I do see the guy that found it, if I'm not mistaken. I do see him wearing a lot of Air Force Ones from time to time, so I don't know if maybe that will be the one to go for, because that obviously is a popular shoe here in the UK, like it is everywhere else around the world, especially most, metropolitan cities. But I'd maybe like to see an interesting iteration, or kind of, an interesting kind of job done on an Air Max 1 that maybe hasn't got a lot of love. Maybe pulling something from the archive. I can't think of one specifically, but I would like to see that maybe would be a way to go instead of going the regular Air Force 1 route or Air Max 90 route. Do you know what I mean? That might be a bit fresh. Because you look at the Pata Air Max 1, and if you go to Amsterdam or you know anything about Pata, you know anything about the sneaker culture out there, the Air Max 1's got a real special place in the hearts of people out there, similar to what we have at Air Max 90. I think Air Max 90s are definitely more of a London shoe than it is an Amsterdam shoe. But that Pata Air Max 1, that wave one, worked really well, and even the ones prior, because the Air Max 1 is so linked to that city. And you would imagine Corteiz going through what they're going through, you know, it would eventually probably have aspirations to be, you know, a store or a brand similar to what Pata means to Amsterdam in terms of what it represents, you know, from the quote unquote streets, able to appeal to the masses, also the connection to youth culture, blah 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 blah. So I'm interested to see what shoe they go with. Maybe they don't get a shoe, maybe it's just a full clothing line, but I don't know if you're going to go to this trouble to put this bat signal up on the outside of a Nike store London. You would imagine it's going to be more than that. You can quickly check out the Vogue article, which is a pretty good flex also to have a Vogue article written up about a collaboration that you have no actual details on, but I thought that was pretty cool. They say here, on Monday night, a large Corteiz logo was projected on the outside of a Nike flagship store in London's Oxford Street. Passers-by posted on TikTok speculating that yet another stunt from Corteiz founder Clint49, akin to his past guerrilla pop-up moments on the streets of London and Paris. In fact, it was not a prank, it was a hint at what to come. Nike has confirmed the collaboration will launch in the coming months. Corteiz has been one of streetwear's biggest disruptors since its launch in 2017, along with the unique, elusive, and innovative marketing strategy. No drop is ever the same, a tactic designed to keep the cult fan base engaged. The pieces feature a distinctive Alcatraz logo, which represents rebellion against convention. Retail pieces range from £30 for t-shirts to $125 for cargos. Although in its infancy, the brand was garnered celebrity backing, including British rapper Dave and Cedric C. Its previous collaborations include Nigerian streetwear label Motherland and Manchester-based rapper Meeks. Nike declined to share further information, so it's official. About the tie-up, which follows this high-profile collaboration with the labels Stussy and Jack Moose. It's definitely gonna be better than Jack Moose one, because that Jack Moose collaboration was fucking shit. But we expect to, what we can expect. Okay, cool. We don't know what's going on. They don't want more information, but everyone's speculating, so we have to kind of wait and see. But big up Corteiz. Hopefully this works out. We see something good and interesting going forward, and it's not some, you know, shitty varsity jackets. I want to see something cool, interesting in terms of collaboration on tracksuits. Like, give us something fresh and new. You know, blow Nocta out of the park, because Nocta are out here doing some great things. But again, I feel like we can do it better because our tracksuit culture is the pinnacle, and above all else is